The main reason why I love baking so much is because I've spent so many beautiful hours with my wonderful mother in the kitchen, who showed me many recipes, and she showed me how to make pizza. This is one of the first dishes I've ever cooked. So here's my video about pizza making. Enjoy! The basic recipe consists of 400 grams of flour, 1 piece of fresh yeast, or you can use actually 17 grams of dry yeast if you like. I add 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of Italian herbs and 1 teaspoon of sugar. I also add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And if you like, you can add just a bit of apple cider vinegar. This will help the dough to rise. And of course you need some water. I use 225 milliliters of water. And actually what I do is I always mix the fresh yeast with the lukewarm water before I add it to the rest of the ingredients. You can work on the dough manually, what I actually prefer, or you could use a kitchen machine. The most important thing is actually to really knead the dough thoroughly until it's very fluffy and not sticky anymore. After that, you cover it with a sheet and just let it stand for about 1 to 3 hours, depending on how warm it is and how quickly the dough rises. And here's the dough that I've made from the fresh yeast. For the second dough I use dry yeast, and I find it best to mix the yeast into the flour before you add the water. While the doughs are rising, you can prepare everything else you need, like the baking sheet and all the toppings you like. As you can see, most of the toppings I use are imported, but if you have some ideas of toppings that are homegrown or locally grown here in northern Sweden, I would be grateful for your ideas, so make sure to write them as a comment below. If you are a fan of homemade stuff like me, you're welcome to copy my tomato sauce ideas. Today I use different tomato products, but in this case just crushed tomatoes. And I combine them with salt, if there's none in yet, better check this first, pepper, Italian herbs and garlic. You can see the dough with the fresh yeast on the left side and the dough with the dry yeast on the right side. And I find that the fresh yeast dough just produces more of a fluffy American pizza, and the dry yeast dough just kind of more adds up to an Italian style crusty one. There's an endless variety of pizza you can produce, and I actually this day produced many so that I can freeze them in. Because, as you know, living in Swedish Lapland is not always the closest to be to a superstar. So the grocery doing is more like once a month, and then after that I make the pizza, I freeze it in, and I have pizza for many, many days. For the baking process, I put my oven on upper and lower heat for the first 30 minutes. It should be preheated to 175 degrees Celsius. And once the pizza is nearly done, I add up the cheese I like. And then I bake it for another 5 minutes with air circulation, and that makes it very crusty, and I love that.